Here we have a Dyson V8. We're going to open up and explore the insides. V8s and V7s are the same, depending where you buy it, but overall they are the same. You know you have a V8 if you have this red tab thing that pulls up and opens the bin like this. So you need to press the button here to get the bin out after you remove it. Next, you need a prying tool, such a flathead screwdriver, so we can remove this black rubber ring. So you're going to have to put your screwdriver in and pry it out. After you do that, you can just pull it out. Can you see, as you can see here, the top and the bottom, one is smaller and one is longer compared to the other. So to put it back, you need to put the small flat side on the top and the big flat side on the bottom. You might want to do the big flat side on the bottom first, as it's actually easier if you do it first. If you do it afterwards, it's actually quite difficult. Once you stretch it over and put it in place, you want to go around and ensure your rubber ring is not stretched or compressed in any area, and that it is sitting properly. I'm just readjusting it so it sits nice and neatly deep inside. Once you've done that, we can actually close it to confirm that our rubber ring is sitting correctly. So look around the edges. To confirm that it's sitting and closing correctly, or else you'll lose suction power when you turn on your vacuum cleaner. I just have to readjust it as I saw some areas that were tighter and looser and the seal wasn't correctly. Next, we're going to remove the front. There's actually a screw in there, and it's a Torque T10 screw. I don't recommend you to do this part, as it's probably extremely difficult for you to remove this, and removing this isn't much benefit anyway. Now that I removed the screw, the next you need to remove the connector. This is probably not going to work for you. You need to put a screwdriver or something in to break the connector's tabs. If you don't break the tabs, you won't be able to pull it out. Since mine has already been broken in advance, it's actually a lot easier for me to pull out. For you guys who are watching this video and never opened your vacuum cleaner before or done this part before, it's probably impossible for you to take it out. There's actually a screw underneath this. That's why we have to take this part out. Just to demonstrate here, there's actually 2 tabs on each side, and you need to find a way to break them, or else you will not be able to pull it out. So next, after we remove the tab, we can now remove the screw underneath. So the screw underneath the connector is also a T10 torque screw. Next, to remove this, you're going to need your flathead screwdriver or a prying tool. You need to pry the 2 sides out. Doing this will probably leave marks and scratches on your vacuum cleaner. And there's actually no benefit of doing it. I'm only doing it since I'm actually making a disassemble video, and the purpose of it is to show you what to do. So now I can now take it out since I pried both sides out. Just to show you here, that piece broke off. So when you put the tabs in, the white side goes into the hinge and the black string goes on the other side. Make sure you put it in all the way. There's the 2 screws here. I see one of my screw holes are actually broken. Next, we need to remove 2 screws to take the red part out. There's also 1 screw in here. This is 2 T8s. You're going to have to open your vacuum and put the screwdriver in to remove the torque T8. There's actually tabs inside. So you're going to have to insert your prying tool so we can between it, so the plastic is not attached to the tabs anymore. Once you've done that, you can actually pull it off. Now to put it back in, just line up the tabs and also your string and just tap it back in and it goes in like that. We now have to put our 2 torque T8s back. Next, you're going to have to realign your cable. There's actually grooves on the plastic where your cable needs to slot in. Once you have done that, we need to insert our power cable back into the hole. Once it's sticking out, we can now push it in. Once you align it, you can put pressure on it and it'll clip in place. Make sure to check if the lines are flush. If they're not, it means you missed something and it's not connecting properly. So try harder. So now we need to get our Torque T10 screws and put 2 of them back in. So one goes into the vacuum hole and the other goes through the connector hole. So just to disassemble this, mine's broke. The screw actually might not go in place properly, but this is just a word of warning. If you want to remove this part and do this step, you might actually have to break your vacuum cleaner just so you can remove the connector and remove this part. Next, we need to put back the connector. So for the connector, the white string goes where the hinge is, and the black string goes on the outside. Then you close your hinge. You can push this back in. Next, we're going to remove the filter and the cyclone part. You can pull these red tabs, and there's actually 2 red things on the side that allows you to disconnect this. We're going to take our filter out first. So on the filter, there's actually tabs here. So one, you can use your screwdriver and pry it out, or you can actually press down on your hand with it, and hopefully that's enough. So here's the tabs. There's 3 tabs on it. So you need to align it correctly to put it back in. Remember to put it back in to test if it works properly. So you can remove this black rubber ring. Next, you're going to have to use some tabs. We need to put the tabs in between this gap, which I will demonstrate later. The reason why is it has lips, and the lips inside cause the vacuum to stop the vacuum from being removed. So we need to put tabs in it to lift the filter off the lips so we can actually drag it out. This might be difficult for you to see, but once you have the vacuum in front of you, it actually makes it easier. Now that we have put our tabs in, we can now pull out the filter. So just to show you the lips, here you go. As you can see, it actually stops my prying tool from sliding up. This is what holds the outside filter in place. So the idea is you need to get the tabs in between the lip and the filter so that it can slide out smoothly. Next, we need to remove the Torque T8 screws around the base. So that's a Torque T8. Now that we removed the 5 screws, we can now actually lift this up. Just like that, and it comes out. To put it back, just align it correctly. Please note, this part sticks on the back. And it only goes back in one way. Next, you're going to just have to hold this part and wiggle it, and this will come out. To put it back, you need to align the back part first, so it goes in slightly diagonal. Once the long part is in, you can then push it down and it should go in place. So remember to put it in diagonal. We now need to get our Torque T8 screwdriver again to remove these 4 screws. This allows us to get the rail slider off. Once you remove the 4 screws, you can just lift it off, and it comes off like that. To put it back on, just wiggle it on and it should come on. Remember to get the rubber over the top. Next, we need to remove these 2 screws on the outside, and there's actually a few screws on the inside before you can disassemble the filter, or the cyclones, whatever you like to call them. So those 2 screws were also T8s. So your vacuum cleaner might be dusty after use. Therefore, you might not be able to see the screws properly. For this, you need a longer screwdriver that is small and unobstructed. So you need a screwdriver that's that long and thin. It makes it easier for you to reach the bottom. Now that we removed our screws, it now comes off. You can see the screws here where they're attached to, and there's 4 of them. Just poking my screw out. So you can remove this. This is the gasket or the foam seal. It allows your 2 parts to close in without any air leaks. So be careful when you pull it off. If you tear it, it actually makes you lose suction. These 2 pieces also come apart. So to put it back in, remember to put your foam, align the back with the back of the cyclone part. Please note you actually can clean this before you reassemble it, but since I'm making a video, I'm not going to clean it because if I clean it, I'm going to have to wait. So to put this part back, you need to put the back with the back as well. And once that's aligned, you can then push it down and it should sit in place. It only goes in one direction. So if you can't go in, it means you stuffed up. So it makes it easier if you just align the screw holes. If the screw holes are aligned, then it should fit in place correctly. So we're going to use our Torque T8 screw to screw the 2 screws outside first. Next, we're going to put our 4 T8 screws inside. I changed screwdrivers as my other screwdriver is not magnetic, so the screws fall off. So just to demonstrate to you that you can actually use the bigger screwdriver, it's just slightly more difficult. I'm going to now use my small screwdriver to screw all the way in. Next, we're going to put this back in. Remember to align the back first and put the back in. It needs to go down first. Once it goes down, then you can align it straight and it should go in. Remember to align the outer side part, or the one that sticks out more, to the back. Same thing with this. We now need to put our 5 torque T8 screws back in. Now we put our 5 screws back. We're now going to put back our outer metal filter. So the outer metal filter just clicks in place. But remember to align the back with the back again. So once you have aligned it, just press it down. You know it's in place if you look into the So I just have to readjust it again as I stuffed up. Once it's aligned, press it down. Remember to check your gaps. If there's a big gap somewhere, it means you stuffed up. So we're going to put our rubber ring back. We just push it down. Next, we're going to put our slider back in. Just push your slider over the rubber. Wiggle it up and down a bit, and it should go in place. You need to use your torque T8 screwdriver to put back your 4 screws. Put our filter back in. Get our vacuum. Test that it works correctly. Lift our tab up. Press the red thing in the inside so we can take it out. Just going to clean up the table a bit. That I've cleaned up the table. We need to remove the filter by just rotating it. We also can remove this. So we need to get our screwdriver and shove it in the gap and pry this out. Be careful, when you pry this out, you might actually crack it. So this is the difference between V8 and V7, but you actually can convert a V7 to this. So here, on this, there's actually tabs. You need to align it correctly before you take it out. Please note, there's actually a foam filter here. If you remove it, since I removed it before and lost my foam filter, I haven't put it in place. So just to put it back, you just need to align it correctly. Make sure it's aligned. Put your filter back in. Next, you also can take the battery off. So you have to remove 3 screws to remove the battery. You just need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove it, which is your plus shape. Now that we removed the 3 screws, you just lift up your battery. And to put it back in, just slide it back in. And it goes in place. Now that we put all our 3 screws back in, we're going to reassemble the vacuum. We're going to put our cyclone back in by sliding it in this hole. There's actually rails here that your slider needs to slide in. Slide it in. Remember, don't slide it in all the way or else you can't put your bin in. So to put your bin in, we need to put diagonal. Once it's like that, we can then actually push it in. We test our vacuum cleaner to see it still works. And that's basically it. Thanks for watching.